Once Upon a Timeline, and we are live. Okay, today, things that we plan to discuss. More changes to Statue of Liberty, a lot more changes. Fish flip-flopping after death. More, yet even more brand new changes to Shiva at CERN. Some changes in percentage of people who have wisdom teeth. Lava fountains. A new change in the Coca Cola logo. Changes in snow crab claws. A new thing I spotted today called the ant death spiral or the ant mill. Some changes in lava flow. You might have been witnessing some of the video out of Hawaii. I'm going to point out a couple new things I spotted in that. And also fasciculations. You'll find out what that is. And also some new changes to the human stomach. So that and maybe other things as well. So let's see who is on. We have Dark Wolf's Den, Cupie, Heart's Truth, Delavanti, Shari D. Welcome everyone. All right, so notification is working for the first time. There was no change from what I did, so don't ask me why. I can't understand YouTube half the time. Anyway, hi everyone. All right, I'm going to get going here. All right, so I don't know if any of you have been watching Unimundi's channel where he talked about the Statue of Liberty a little bit. I was kind of surprised and glad to see his channel cover that because I actually just was checking it yesterday myself. I think that we may have had a shift over the weekend. I felt really terrible on Friday, especially on Friday night. Saturday, Sunday. I'm starting to feel better now the last few days, but that prompted me to kind of start checking things, and one of the things I was checking was Statue of Liberty. Now, Unimundi covered that he felt the statue had gotten kind of pudgy looking, and I do agree with that. If you look at this one from the side view, she looks downright matronly almost now. She's definitely not a skinny girl anymore. See from the back there. All right, so I did see that, but that was not the first thing I saw. And another thing that somebody else saw on his comments is what I saw first, and that was this side view of her. She's stepping now. Now, I have never seen Statue of Liberty stepping. You can see her foot sticking out back here. No. That is totally weird for me. So she's stepping forward now. And I think there's also a little bit of change to how she's holding the book. It shows it quite well here, but it seems to me that she's stepping forward and kind of pushing the flame a little ahead of her now. And the book to me is back a little. It's held a little bit further back, and a little bit the top is a little further away from the body. I also think there's some changes to the robes and stuff here. Let's see what. Heart's Truth. I think I feel shifts in my stomach. Yeah, actually, I have stomach is on the docket for a bit later. Shari D. The story about her has changed too. That's interesting. I didn't look that up. But okay, so I wanted to definitely cover that. See if I can find a big picture. This one might be big. View image. Nope, not big. It's easier if I can find one you could really see it. But not any of those. Fortunately, I don't keep all of my images up in advance anymore because it crashes my computer. It's too many windows. My computer cannot keep that many open. But anyway, the one thing I kind of wanted to mention was just that when you see her leg sticking out, you can really kind of judge that she's not skinny. You didn't used to be able to see the leg like that. It was pretty much hidden in the robes. This one might show it a little bit. Yeah, see, she looks like she's pudgy now, and I never ever got that impression before of the Statue of Liberty. So that's interesting. I mean, it wouldn't be that weird for the era, but okay, so anyway, there was that, but then I was just looking at the overall look here. And I don't know if you can kind of see it. And this is something that we've seen in other statues. The first thing I noticed from the faraway view was this pedestal. I was looking at the pedestal before, and it was only maybe a third that. And this down here, we'll get back to that. But basically, this pedestal is a lot higher. And she looked, to me, just visually looking at her, she looks a lot smaller. But here's the interesting part, because I actually, the last time I looked at the changes in the statue, I checked height, and they said 500, I think it was 503 feet. I just rounded it off to 500, but it was like 504 feet, 503 feet, point something. I just go, okay, 500 feet. It was 500 feet. Now, I'm pretty sure that included the pedestal. It might not have, but either way, it was 500, either including the pedestal or not, and the pedestal wasn't that big back then, so it didn't matter. But if you look it up now, statue height, the suspense is building. It's 305 feet now, and that includes the pedestal. So it's only 111 feet, not including the pedestal. So it looks to me, I mean, she looks to me a lot shorter. She was so ridiculously tall before. So that one kind of blew me away. I just was checking that this morning. And so that statue is a lot smaller. I don't know if it looks like it to you guys, but it does actually visually look a lot smaller to me. Shari D. And I'm gonna have to let me go back and check what Shari's story about Statue of Liberty is. They say at first it used to be light brown. Okay. I don't think I remember that story unless they're saying that it's got patinaed, but I don't remember it being light brown. It was meant to go to Egypt as Suez Canal. I've sure as heck never heard that. Corey did, and that is why it looks fatter, because shorter. I don't know. I mean, they could have shrunk it down and it not been fatter. I mean, it could have shrunk down and proportionally. And I mean, it doesn't look unproportionately fat. She just looks like she's pudgy now. She's got more fat on her. She's not skinny. Heart's truth, I always felt her to be creepy, but she's certainly getting even creepier. Well, you know, all of the statues and all of the art is changing, so it's not just that one. Cupid, yeah, a lot smaller. Sharidi, she really looks shorter and pregnant. You know, to me, she just looks like a typical pudgy female. I mean, I don't think she looks unusual. It's just I remember her as being very trim looking. Anyway, I guess I'm not surprised if the story changed. But I don't know. Okay, so one of the things I was looking for is, I don't know if you guys remember. I sure hope you do. Because I think I shifted a lot just recently, and I hate it when I shift by myself and then nobody else remembers my old timeline. And that sometimes happens. I remember quite a number of people last year making videos on the other older Statue of Liberty changes. And one of the things they talked about was, of course, how she used to be on Ellis Island. And I pulled up, here's Ellis Island from the Google view. One of the things that several videos were present on how that zigzag pedestal, and you could see it here. This is the zigzag, I call it the zigzag pedestal. There was a zigzag pedestal left empty on Ellis Island, which was weird because people were saying, oh, you know, that's where the statue used to be. And then it moved over to Liberty. So now, if you look at Ellis Island, there is no zigzag pedestal. And I'm wondering if it was here on this round thing. To be honest, I can't remember exactly where it was, but I remember those videos where they were saying this is where it looks like the statue used to be, and there was like this empty pedestal there, and there was no explanation for that weird pedestal thing. I mean, it just looked like a raised area in that pattern. And now, so it was like the statue moved, but her pedestal didn't. And now her pedestal moved. And here is Liberty Island. And there's that zigzag friggin' pedestal. It got back under her. Look at that thing. It's back. That was over on Ellis. Now, I have to say, I wasn't really paying attention to the Statue of Liberty before the Mandela effect that much, so I can't say for sure that that pedestal was under her originally. But I do remember really clearly that they were saying videos looks that thing there was still on Ellis. And she just had her square pedestal only, and she was on Liberty Island. So that friggin' thing moved back underneath. That's all I have to say. And I think it was this last shift. I really do. I sure hope some of you guys remember those videos, because I hate it when I shift by myself. Shari D, I remember the zigzag pattern. Yeah, it just, there was videos where the zigzag pattern was left behind on Ellis, and people were commenting on that. It looked, you know, they were saying, oh, look, it looks like that's where it used to be. So, oh, dang, I hate that. Nobody remembers it then. I'm the only one who remembers that timeline. Ugh, yep, nobody remembers it. I hate that when that happens. Okay, so anyways, well, for me, the zigzag is back underneath, and there it is right there. And for a while, she just had this part here, the square part, and this part was shorter, and she was a lot taller. And I think overall, the whole thing was a lot taller. I mean, if you look at this now, I don't know, the whole island and everything looks different, to be honest with me. I think it looks like it takes up a lot more space, but that's because the zigzag is back under there. But I also remember Ellis Island being a lot bigger than Liberty Island, and it just seems like Ellis has gotten a little smaller or something. And I just don't remember this strip in the middle here. I don't know. The whole thing is kind of freaking me out. All right, I'm going to let that one go. Anyway, those are the changes I see in there. Shari D. Yes, the zigzag was on Ellis Island. Yay! Even if you're just making it up, I'm glad you said it, because I feel better. Lower tower is much shorter, Phyllis Wheeler. Really? To me, it's higher. The lower, well, in comparison to her, it's a lot higher. To me, before, she was very tall, and the tower she stood on was much shorter in comparison to her. When did the zigzag jump to Liberty Island? You know, I'm not sure, but I think it was, I just checked yesterday because I thought we had a shift, and it just occurred to me, look, I am not sure on that. I mean, it's been a while since I saw those videos with the zigzag. I'm not even sure what made me look, to be honest. All right, let's see. I don't recall the bridge connecting Ellis Island to the main island. Wait, is there a bridge to Ellis Island from the main? Oh, to the mainland. Okay, not to Liberty. Yeah, you know, I didn't know that region well originally. Not that well, so I can't say on that one. What's everyone's zodiac sign? Ah, ancient Chinese secret. Okay, so next subject. I spent a lot of time on Reddit just checking social media to see what the latest spiel is, so I just checked the front pages. And one thing I see, like, Mandela effect after Mandela effect, just weird stuff that I didn't see before. And this is one that I've seen a whole bunch of lately, and that has been that fish, after you kill a fish, like if you catch a live fish, you kill it, you go to eat it. And, you know, everybody's kind of familiar with the concept of, like, when you chop a chicken's head off, it keeps running around for a long time. And snakes. And I don't know why we just never really questioned why they did that and other creatures didn't. But it seems like fish are really doing it now. I've seen a bunch of videos in the last 6 months where fish won't stop flopping around long after the head's cut off. And this fish was already in the oven, and I was just kind of laughing because, like, this fish is going bananas in the oven. Of course, it's been filleted and everything. Now, I'm familiar with a little muscle twitching, but come on, this thing is like still ready to swim off in this oven here. I mean, how can you even cook a frickin' fish? There'd have to be warning labels about fresh fish. It'll jump out of the oven and catch on fire or something. So anyway, I've seen a ton of those lately, so I just wanted to bring that up. I just don't think that was in my old timeline. Not like that. There was no bridge originally. We used to ferry there. That's for Ellis. I mean, I remember old time they would ferry there, but if they had built the bridge in the last 15, 20 years, I might not have known about it. I don't remember anything about them building one, but I just, I'm not disputing that could well be a Mandela effect. I just did not know the region well enough to really sign in on that. Some of these other things I've been watching for the last 2 years, and so I know them pretty well just because I started watching them 2 years ago because of the Mandela effect. Preliminal. Her robe looks heavier, like she's wearing a robe over a robe over a robe. Yeah, exactly. She just looks pudgy now. And I want to say she's wearing a ton of heavy robes, but also now that she's got, you can see her thigh and her foot, and you can see that's kind of a pudgy thigh. So I think she's definitely pudgy under there. Immigrants first saw the lady on Ellis Island, and does she still have the viewing platform under the torch? I didn't look that one up. I mostly just look up stuff I knew about pretty well, so maybe it's a sign telling us not to eat animals. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Her shrinking, I kind of have this pet theory, and I really do not know if it's valid at all. But I wonder if when things expand, it kind of symbols that thing will be more prominent, like maybe the U.S. now will be a little less prominent on the world stage than it used to be. We've definitely seen some countries really shrink and others really grow. I mean, Great Britain has got a lot bigger. Russia and Kazakhstan, Sweden, Finland, and Denmark for me are a lot bigger. So sometimes I wonder if these things are just simple symbolic things, like some of the old famous paintings have gotten lower in quality, and I kind of wonder if maybe Taj Mahal also, maybe they're on their prominence and the new reality is getting phased out, and maybe some other things will become more of the famous things, like for instance the stepwells in India are so beautiful now. Maybe some of the Buddhist temples, something like that. I'm really not sure on that. I've just been kind of watching that, but and it's just a theory, so I don't know. But that's just kind of something that springs to mind. So fish are stronger. Yeah, that could be it. I'm just thinking nerves, tendons, muscles, just stronger, more long-lasting now, maybe. Geek Grill. No, I don't think so. I think that's a joke that fish would not still be twitching. Geeky Gorilla, you know what? I have seen like 10 videos on this in the last 6 months. It's real. That's what they do now. There's a whole bunch. There's one where this woman's trying to skin a fish. She's already cut the head off, and it's flipping so much she's scared to skin it and flipping out. I mean, it's not a joke. That's what they do now. If that was just one video, then I might be like, oh, maybe it's a joke, but it's not. It's not. If I should have tried to dig up. There's another video that's ridiculous where this woman's trying to skin this fish and she's flipping out. For some reason, I saw that like 6 months ago, and for some reason, I didn't think of it as an ME. But now, after seeing all these videos, I'm like, wait, they didn't used to do that. I mean, I used to catch fish and skin them. I mean, they didn't even twitch 1% that much, and they were fresh. In fact, my mom even got catfish sometimes, and she would bring them back in a bucket live. So we would we would be skinning them, pull them right out of the bucket and skin them and cut their head off and everything. Fresh, fresh, fresh. I mean, you weren't even like on the ice or anything. Cuba's bigger. Yeah. Yeah. Cuba's a lot bigger. I'm glad we kind of make peace with them, seeing how they're really big now. Eva, you can now come back from brain death. That's new to me. Brain death. You can't breathe on your own. Phyllis Wheeler said that. There's long been cases where people would suddenly, supposed to be dead, be declared dead, and be declared brain dead, and then suddenly wake up. So, in my timeline there were, but it wasn't, it wasn't normal. So I wouldn't say it's an ME for me, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's happening more often now. That's for sure. Geeky Gorilla, she used to have a set of shackles at her feet. Are they still there? I checked, and at least one of them is still there. I didn't spend a lot of time on it. I just learned about the shackles a couple months ago, so I never knew about any shackles before that. I'm real suspicious of those, but I've been keeping an eye on those. I think Mandela Affected was the one who talked about those shackles. Gulf of Mexico might become Lake of Mexico if Cuba keeps growing. Phyllis, I think if you check a lot of the changes, what we're ending up with is the islands kind of lining up along the coasts with waterways, like thin waterways kind of protected, like more gulfs and more protected waterways, and then the rivers and lakes are expanding, more protected waterways in there. So I don't know, it just seems like we're going to get a lot of protected waterways. It's like all the changes are heading that direction, not just in our Gulf over there, Mexico, but all over. You can check the lakes, or all those lakes in Canada. There's a bunch of lakes over underneath Finland and Sweden now that I think they're going to link up. There's a big river heading in over by Korea, snaking in like that. Like the South Pole is fading. Yeah, that was something Mandela Affected mentioned maybe a week or two ago, that he is not seeing the Antarctic ice on a lot of maps. I mean, that would be a trip if another one disappeared. For me, there used to be one called Arctica on the North Pole, and that's gone. So, if Antarctica went, the sad part is there'd probably be 90% or 98% of the population just saying, "Oh, what's Antarctica?" They probably say, "Oh, it's just the Antarctic." Because, I have friends that I knew when Arctica was still here, and because I've had them a long time, and not one of those friends remembers Arctica now. And, so they're either they had a brain wipe or a download, or they're different people. I think they're different versions, though. I do. But it's damn weird when your friend suddenly can't remember the stuff that was always there. And even a lot of affected don't remember Arctica. Tammy Yeager Gibson, fruit flies live 30 to 40 days. Mayfly live 24 hours. Used to be fruit fly live 24 hours. Now, you know what? I'm not an entomologist, so I'm not sure on that one. Those details I don't know. Pakiatan? There's Dark Wolf's Den? There's a place called, are you talking about Pakistan or Pakiatan? Please change that photo. It's gross. You mean this? You mean the Statue of Liberty? Come on, I took it over to Photoshop and I added writing and everything. That's the sum total of my genius Photoshop skills right there. Dark Wolf's Den remembers Arctica. Yay! You know, last time I talked to Mandela Affected, he has no recollection of Arctica. He's from a very different timeline. Be back soon. Okay, see you later, Phyllis. Yep, only the Vatican and Liechtenstein are smaller. I think, weren't they talking about Liechtenstein being a new country on one of the other streams? Yeah, you know, Liechtenstein, I only heard of that like about 2 years ago or something. My personal theory is these countries they start like little seeds and then they just grow and grow and grow. So when they first come out, you're like, oh, I probably didn't know about that because it was so tiny. But you know what? I had to memorize every freaking country in Europe when I was a kid. And even if I couldn't remember exactly where something was, I would remember the name. And there was no Liechtenstein back then, for sure. There was no Liechtenstein. Attica, Delavanti. I remember Attica. Attica. Is that like Arctica, but it's Attica at the North Pole? I've run into a few people who said they remember Arctica, Artica. For a lot of us, it was Arctica, Arctia, Arctic, Ica, Arctica. Let's see, Andorra. That's another one that's kind of new for me. Pakistan looks different to me. Yeah, it could be. I did not know Pakistan that well. I flew over Arctica, or Arctic, as it was known as. You know, we called it the Arctic, but when we said the Arctic, we meant like the everything above the Arctic Circle was the Arctic. And Arctica was the continental landmass at the North Pole, which was the twin sister, well, not twin, but it was the similar sister to Antarctica. So it was always Arctica and Antarctica. But now there is no Arctica, so there's only the Arctic. I mean, it'll be trippy if Antarctica disappears. Arctica was North Pole and Antarctica was South Pole. Exactly. It was always Arctica and Antarctica. And sometimes I'd be like, wait, which one was on the north and which one was on the south? Because it was easy to get confused. But you knew that they were the opposites on the, that they were on the poles. Arctica. Dark Wolf and Arctica. Yeah, you're one of those if you remember Arctica instead of Arctica. The Eskimos called it Arctica. Yeah, I have never heard of Arctica. It was always Arctica for me. John Godding, Arctic and Antarctica for me. Yeah, that's what it is here in this timeline. Those European mini-states always used to be there. Heart's Truth, maybe in your timeline, but not for everyone. Delavanti. So most of us remembered it by different names. I'm not sure you remember the same thing unless you remember a continent. One of the 7 continents land mass called Arctica. Yeah, Scott Balow. Arctica when I was really young. Now, it wasn't that long ago for me that it was Arctica. I was working on it when I first learned of the ME. That was a big one. And I think it probably disappeared around 2014 for me. So it was nearby the top of North Pole. In my timeline, the North Pole was set on Antarctica. I mean, you put that pole that floats around on an ice floe now was on the continental landmass. Arctica was right on top of the pole. So when they traveled to the North Pole, they traveled over Arctica. High cliff walls of ice in the inland was very treacherous. Now you look at the images, it's flat. It's just weird. There's no cliffs of ice. I mean, like high cliffs of ice, like mountains. You don't see that now. It's gone. Okay, so what's next on my docket? Oh, okay. So we're talking about that creepy dancing fish. Here's another one you're seeing. That one was Cooking, the latest thing also is you add salt. If you add salt to the dead fish, the salt triggers the muscle spasms, and this one's pretty creepy looking. This one's even weirder. Okay, so they're putting soy sauce on, and that has salt. The soy sauce is bringing this zombie squid back to life. I'm going to pour some more on, and it'll do it again. Anyway, so as you can see, this whole muscles last a lot longer now, basically. Boink. Okay, this is another one. Eva Newall just kind of mentioned this in a comment, and very observant, my friend. She asked about wisdom teeth. Now, what she's saying is, my daughter used to have 4, now only has 2, never removed by a dentist. They have all just disappeared. The dentist said it's quite normal to just have 2 or none. The wisdom teeth were there, had erupted. Okay, no problem. I saw her x-rays. Okay. I thought that was pretty interesting because I have not heard of that. I have all 4 of mine. I definitely had heard about them. Sometimes they would all 4 come in and make it in, and you didn't have to have them pulled. And I really looked into wisdom teeth a lot because mine were coming in, trying to decide if I should go to the dentist or just leave them. I had one baby tooth removed when I was a kid, and I had the world's longest roots, and it was extremely difficult for them to get the tooth out. So that was one of the reasons I was really hesitant to have my wisdom teeth out, because I felt like they'd probably have to pull half my brain out to get the wisdom teeth out. So I looked into that a lot, and it was, what was normal was everybody had friggin' 4 wisdom teeth. So apparently now, here's the latest. Many scientists believe humans are currently evolving third molar hypodontia, or the lack of wisdom teeth, due to their inability to develop in the first place. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. In my old timeline, they said mouths are getting smaller, but the number of teeth aren't, and that's why we have all these problems with have not enough room in our mouths, which doesn't really make sense either, because why would our mouths get smaller so quickly in our... I mean, what would be driving that? They never explained any kind of evolutionary advantage to having a smaller mouth but not having less teeth. And I'd always was kind of confused about that, but I didn't really question it because, I believed in science back then. But this is a whole no spiel here with this hypodontia. And why would you just lack them due to the inability to develop? Because we're pulling them out, so that does not leave room for genetic changes in such a short period. So anyway, so they're saying about 20 to 25% of human population is born with 1 to 3 wisdom teeth instead of all 4. And 35% is born without any wisdom teeth at all. So that means over half the population has less than 4 wisdom teeth. I am positive that was not a case in my old timeline. Just about everybody had 4. I mean, if you had any other number besides 4 naturally, you were very unusual. But now you would be in about the 50th, 55 percentile or something. Now you would be in the total normal range not to have them. So good find, very good find. You are so right, Evie. You totally caught that one. Weird for me. See whatever people are at. Oliver Henry, I agree. North Pole was solid ice land. Let me get some water real quick. Yes. Top Gear drove there. I keep hearing about that. I didn't watch Top Gear there that much. I've only seen a few episodes. Scott Balow was freaked out about the creepy. See, that's what you get for watching Reddit, or that's what I get for watching Reddit all the time. There's weird stuff like that on all the time. And you know what's weird is you'll see like 2-3 videos real similar, you know, of the same concept in a short period of time. So it really kind of cues me in on what MEs are becoming prominent. It's like the area gets flooded with similar videos. If you bite bottom of thumb fingers, all drop down. And yes, I agree, John. Okay, I don't know what we're talking about there. That's how I remember North Pole. Solid ice land, and it didn't intermittently melt and regrow. It was solid ice land all year round. Exactly. The fear was that it would melt, and all that ice would get into the water, melted, raise the sea levels. Everybody would drown, blah, blah. But after all that panic of how we were all going to die because Arctica was going to melt, and now it's gone and we're all fine, and the sea level around my coast is like exactly the same. So I have to say, when they say we're all going to die because blah blah blah, I don't worry about it anymore. Mona Lisa now has brown curly hair and her veil is now extremely obvious. The painting has a huge scratch on the top left. Okay, let's see. Let's check out the Mona Lisa. Now this one's tricky because there's like friggin' 3 Mona Lisas now. Hopefully Wikipedia can sort it out. Okay. View image. All right. I think you're talking about older MEs because she still has the same curly hair, the veil. Last time I covered it, I was talking about this little bit right here. And she's getting a little more smiley. At one point in the background here, there was a waterfall and a whole bunch more water. This looks like it's becoming land again here. This background changes constantly, and it's just weird. I don't see any huge changes, though. Not real recent ones. There's changes definitely, but they're older for me. The veil is a change, the smile, this draped thing, and then more recently this draped bit here. And the whole background, that thing's always changing. I think it's different from last I saw it, but that thing, I swear, it morphs like a snake. Heart's Truth. Eva, when did you last check the Shiva Sat? We are going to get to that. I was talking a little bit about that in somebody's chat. I think it was Mandela Effects. Reddit porn. Never knew missing a hand could make you famous. Val. I think I missed that one. As much as I watch a lot of Reddit, I still miss a lot of Reddit. The Top Gear episode is the funniest they ever made. I'm sorry I missed it. I'm an Antarcticist. Yeah, I'm an Arcticist. That sounds creepy. Anyway, we will get to Shiva's statue. I've got that on the docket. Scratch on top of painting. Darn, they're not showing it here. You know what I don't remember is this kind of damage right here. See if I can find that scratch. Yeah, you said something about a scratch. It's one of the things that the images, they'll not show things here and they'll show things somewhere else. Scratch. Let's see if I can get straight to it. All right, these images are not showing a big scratch. Kitty scratch. You can't see much there. Zooming to a scratch on the Mona Lisa. So anyway, yeah, her curly hair, that's not super new for me. I mean, it's at least months old. The appendix now serves a purpose which it never did earlier. Yes, and it's bigger. Every time you look at, if the appendix and images over the months. It's getting bigger and bigger. Preliminary, they must have retouched the background of Mona Lisa. The official story is they cleaned it and it's brighter. That was the story last I checked. I wouldn't be surprised if eventually that story fades away and then it was always like that. Because that's one of the things that ME does, is it when something changes, there's a storyline to explain it away. People accept the exchange. Oh, that's why it looks brighter. And then later on, that storyline's gone. And a good example of that is the assassination one of JFK. It used to be black and white for me, and then it turned color, but the story was that it had just been colorized. And so everybody's like, oh, you're just looking at colorized images. And so you couldn't really argue with that. But then a year or two later, it's always been in color now. That whole storyline, how it was colorized, is gone. It's always been in color. So that's how the ME works a lot. So you got to watch out those sneaky storylines. I heard about 2 Mona Lisa portraits. Where did the third come from? I did a video on it. They found one in a museum and one in an attic. Look, just do a Google on 3 Mona Lisa paintings. I'm not really seeing the scratch on here, the big scratch. I mean, they're zooming in on a scratch, but... All right, let me find that. 3 Mona Lisa paintings. And then there's 2 the screen paintings also. There's multiples of everything now. There's a whole bunch of the thinkers now that were cast, some of them even by the same artist. So there's just a whole bunch. Let's see, Mona Lisa. All right, there better still be 3 or I'm going to be pissed. I may have invented 3D image. That was one of them. The supposed... All right, I'm pretty sure my video still exists where it explains the 3. I'm not finding it really easily, but somewhere there was... You just have to check my video because it explains that all. 3 layers. One of them they're saying might be like meant to be stereoscopic. Like you look at both of them at the same time and it would look 3D. Sounds kind of ridiculous. Yeah, I'm not finding the one where there says there are 3 now. I'm going to look at the wiki really quick, but if that's not there, then... Mona Lisa. Doink. Early visions. Okay, I think it was Prado Museum one and Ilsworth one. Those are the ones. Okay, so the Prado one, Prado Museum, La Gioconda. A version of Mona Lisa known as Mujer de Mano de Leonardo Abinti, held in Madrid's Museo del Prado, was for centuries considered to be a work by Leonardo. All right. Since its restoration in 2012, it is considered to have been executed by one of Leonardo's pupils. Okay, that's interesting because that's not what they were saying last time. Last time they were saying that he had a hand in that one, probably. The restored painting is from a slightly different perspective than the original, leading to speculation that it's part of the world's first stereoscopic pair. However, a more recent report has demonstrated that this stereoscopic pair, in fact, gives no reliable stereoscopic depth. Okay, well, anyway, that was one of them, Prado Museum La Gioconda. Last I checked, it was still up for possibly being a second painting by Leonardo. A version of the Mona Lisa known as Ilsworth Mona Lisa and also known as earlier Mona Lisa was first brought by English noblemen, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so they just found that one in somebody's private collection, I think it was. And that was another one. So I think they're still accepting that one. The painting is claimed by a majority of experts to be mostly an original work of Leonardo dating from the early 16th century. Okay, so they're still accepting that one as Leonardo da Vinci's, but the Prado Museum apparently currently maybe not so much, but I don't know, it should change. Since its restoration in 2012, I don't remember anything about a restoration in 2012. So anyway, it's hard to keep up with this stuff sometimes. All right, let's see where we go. Let's see what we got here. The Screamer painting still same since last shift. You know what, Michael? I have not checked the Scream since the shift. I felt kind of crappy through the weekend, and then I've just been checking things the last, like, yesterday and today. It was in black and white on TV at the time. Talk about the JFK one. Yeah, now apparently, nope, it was not only black and white if you had a black and white TV. As last I checked, that they were saying it was shot in color. And then, I don't know, they had some weird stories about maybe some movies, some news agencies only had black and white copies. I'm like, no. Besides, I wasn't really, watching TV when that happened. So I only saw much later copies of JFK. So there's no reason why I would not have seen the color ones. To be honest, I have almost watched every video you made and have not seen the one about Mona Lisa. Shari D. I'll have to see if it's still there, but it shouldn't have been much in advance of the Scream ones and the Thinker ones. Yeah, so they deleted Dark Wolves. Yeah, it's fine if you think something has to be deleted. I wasn't sure what they were saying either. Okay, so let's see. Back to... So anyway, Mona Lisa, I don't think I see the scratches. Oh, there's all the different ones. There's Ilsworth one, and there's Prado one. I don't see the... Okay. Anyway, all right. Let's get back on the storyline here. All right, we covered the wisdom teeth weirdness. Oh, okay. What's that ropey thing? This is another Reddit special. And you might have seen this one. This one's been out a little bit, but insects are just weird now. And I think you've probably seen the caterpillars following each other now. This is not the first one of these videos I've seen in the last 6 months where they just, apparently they're attracted by scent of the guy in front of them and they just follow each other. I don't know where you get, that didn't happen in my old timeline. That's all I got to say. And it's pretty trippy. And then, was it just this morning? I was trying to find another video on that. And I found videos on this, and it was the ant death spiral or the ant mill. So these certain kind of ants, they'll follow each other around in a giant spiral. Again, it's supposed to be ones that are they follow scent. So somehow they get walking in a circle, and then entire colony walks in a circle. So these are supposed to be blind ants that just go by scent. I guess one goes in a circle and then the next one follows or something. One thing they don't really discuss in these is like, how does the ant know which way to go? I mean, how do they all end up going the same way? Because if there's a circle of smell there, then how come some of them aren't going the other way? I don't know. The whole it's just weird. One thing they said in there, I think, was that they said something about the biggest one ever was like 1,000 feet, like the biggest ant spiral was 1,000 feet wide. I mean, that's just ridiculous. So anyways, definitely, there's even just instructions on how to confuse them into a death spiral. I don't think anybody should do that, but anyways, definitely an ME for me, the death spiral. Yeah, the story is that one of them goes in the circle and all the others follow. There's been a lot of weird animal stuff like that too. I think there was one where like some kind of birds were just walking around in a circle around a dead cat, around and around. I think it was turkeys or something. Jayne. Yes, that's strange. They normally climb walls. Yeah, they just climb up looking for. I've never seen anything like that on any nature show or anything. Caterpillar, centipede. It looks like a ritual. The circular one does, yeah. Jayne. Just curious, does it go clockwise or counterclockwise? I actually saw someone say that they don't, the sentence was, and they don't always go anti-clockwise. And I guess that's a word now, anti-clockwise, because I just remember counterclockwise, but a lot of people are calling it anti-clockwise. So that particular one looked like it was clockwise for me anyway. I find the changes in animals both interesting and repulsive. Some of them are very disgusting. Some are really beautiful. But there's definitely some animals that used to be fairly normal that now aren't. I would like the link for the flipping dead fillet fish oven. Oh, I think I deleted that already. Let's see if I can find that. I think it was on jiffycat.com somewhere. If you go to Reddit /W2TF, there was some kind of joke about Hell's Kitchen. Let's see if I can find that one. Eva's favorite Reddit. WTF. There. Dum, da, da, dum. Tonight we dine in hell. This is it. This is the fish one. So you can see the URL up there. Reddit r/W2F comments. And that is the hell one. I think I got there. Anyway, that'll get you there. Doink. All right, so next one. Dark will stand. It never autocorrects the words that I actually do misspell. You know, that's interesting. I wasn't really planning to bring that one up, but there was a thread on Redcon about people complaining about spell check, and they're saying that it'll spell check them wrong. It'll give them fake words. It won't spell check actual misspellings, even for current timeline. So there's been a lot of complaints about that lately. Just weirdness with spell check. Let's see, where are we now? Oh, okay, so I'll just go along with this one. All right, I think a lot of you guys have been seeing the Hawaii eruptions. And one thing I saw, this one's on Yahoo News here. All right, this is somebody's backyard. He is not right behind the volcano. And I've seen a whole bunch of images like this where it's spewing up way far away from the volcano. This is just his backyard. It is not near the volcano. There's been images like this just along roads. The splatter issue is really different now for these volcanoes. I mean, it used to splatter out of the volcano, maybe a long distance. It would hurl, but then it would just ooze after that. It might ooze fast. It might ooze slow. It might catch some stuff on fire on the way, but it would ooze. But now, it looks like mini eruptions far from the source. And I've been seeing that for days now. And this is just one of many videos. I mean, there must have been at least 5 videos showing this. So I looked into this a bit. And this is what they're talking about. I just typed in different words till I figured it out. These are called fissure vents. And I'm trying to understand what they're saying here. It is not totally clear to me. A fissure vent, also known as a volcanic fissure or eruption fissure, is a linear volcanic vent through which lava erupts, usually without any explosive activity. The vent is often a few meters wide and may be many kilometers long. Fissure vents can cause large flood basalts, which run first in lava channels and later in lava tubes. After some time, the eruptions builds up spatter cones and may concentrate on one or some of them. Small fissure vents may not be easily discernible from the air, but the crater rows or the canyons built up from the fire of them are. So I think in my old timeline, you would have these flows. Oh, that's not a very big image, but yeah, you would have these flows. And yes, they would just flow, but apparently now pressure can build up in these and you can have this splattery mini eruption events kilometers away. I mean, this image just shows the main eruption, but I couldn't find a lot of image of these other than these like small images over here in Hawaii, like along the road and stuff. But there's something going on with that. These small images kind of show it, but see here, there's a long line, but it's splattering. It's splattering up along this, and they're calling it curtain of fire. Eruption style, the curtain of fire. So that's not just a smoothly rolling blob of lava. And here are these splatter ramparts where the material builds up and then splatters out like this. So that's totally different for me. That's changed a lot. There's that same splatter ramparts. There's not a ton of far away video of this, so I think it's kind of a new ME. Lots of complaints about spell check. Glad I caught this stream. Long day. Thanks, Belinda. Yes, interesting. I've been looking a lot into the volcanoes. Yeah, there's a lot changing with volcanoes. Yeah, fire tornadoes. Yeah, I actually I just saw again on Reddit the first fire tornadoes that I saw. Here, I'll pull some of them up. Fire tornadoes. The first ones I saw were in a huge, really large. Let's see. The reason okay, you spelled it right, Armanda Jean. You spelled it fire tornadoes. I keep in my old timeline there was no E on fire tornadoes. Now it's fire tornadoes. Maybe you've adapted already, but that's not. Okay, so the first fire tornadoes I saw were for a huge forest fires. And so they kind of made it out like, oh, you know, this one is so big. This fire is so big that it made its own tornado. I mean, look at their. The last time I checked, this was one of the best ones I could find. There's a lot more images now. Ooh, look, there's more than one here. On Reddit just recently, there was just this little weeny brush fire. Okay, that one's not real. This isn't. Yeah, that one's not a real image though. The real images are looking just as creepy though. But look at the height of that one. Fire tornado seen in California. Look at that thing. That looks fake. I mean, it's real. I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be real, but yeah, there was just a tiny little brush fire and then a big fire tornado on Reddit recently. I almost pulled that one up as one for my subject today, but there was a lot of stuff already, so I didn't. And I was thinking of covering that in a separate video, which is another reason. But yeah, it doesn't take much to make a giant fire tornado. And there was, sometimes they would show little tiny vortexes of fire in the last 10 years or so. I think about 10 or 15 years ago, it was the first I heard of it. Look at that thing. See if that video will run. But yeah, I agree. There's a lot of weird stuff going on with fires. I actually have seen my share of fires because I live in San Diego, and we get a fair lot of them around here. I've never seen anything even close. I don't know where in this bunch of video is this fire tornado here. There it is. So, pretty interesting. Look at how far up that goes. You know, even regular tornadoes, in my old timeline, you just couldn't see the vortex very well because all around would just be cloudy. You never got a really good image of the vortex. It was mostly just in drawings. You just had to take their word for it that was there. Same with the funnels, the water funnels. You didn't used to see them like super high like that. So a lot has changed for me. My old timeline was really boring compared to the current one. That's how Pompeii was ruined. Yeah, my memory of Pompeii was that there was a lava flow come oozing down. Was they caught pyroclastic flow from the top of the mountain, just rolled down over the top of the city. But who knows what was going on beyond that? I mean, but nobody was there, so we can only guess. What is that blue tornado pic? See if I can find the one we're talking about. Blue tornado. This one looks like a little man-made flame here. I'm not sure if that's the one. Newly discovered blue world fire tornado burns cleaner for reduced emissions. Newly discovered, huh? Fire tornadoes or fire whirls pose a powerful and essentially uncontrollable threat to life. Blah blah describes this previously unobserved flame phenomena which burns nearly soot-free. Blue whirls evolved from traditional yellow fire whirls. The yellow color is due to radiating soot particles which form when there is not enough oxygen. All right, they're saying the dynamics of fire whirls on water. What they discovered was a novel swirling blue flame that they say could help meet the growing worldwide demand for high efficiency, low emission combustion. But like electricity, can you harness it for good? Huh. Blue fire whirls. Anyway, small scale right now. We'll have to see where they head to. Was researching the atomic blast at Nagasaki and Hiroshima, which has changed. You know, way back, there was just Hiroshima. I think that was when I was a kid. And then later there was Nagasaki. I've heard other people mention that ME, but I don't think it's a real popular one. I think it's a really old ME. But I have to say I don't know the details on them that well. I mean, sometimes I say, oh, I don't know well enough, and then I read it and I'm like, oh, well, I knew it wasn't that. But that was one where I'm not sure if I would see it or not. Rainbow tornadoes. Rainbow tornadoes, huh? Rainbow tornadoes. All right, let's check that one out. Tornadoes. I'm just going to real quick check and make sure I haven't missed anything. Oh, this blue thing, that's that volcano lightning. You know, last time I looked at that image, it was different than that. But they're constantly changing. What the hell is that? Is that fake? Oh, reflection in the water. Okay. Okay, so rainbow tornadoes. Right. Pretty sure that one better still be fake. Last I checked, this one was fake. See what Snopes has to say. Tornado sucking up a rainbow. False. Okay, still fake. Never know anymore. Rainbow tornadoes. I got a rainbow plus lightning in that one. You know, I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm not seeing, these all look like they're fake. Yeah, still fake. I'm not seeing them, at least not yet. I mean, there's rainbows and tornadoes. Double rainbow tornado. I have to say even that's kind of new. I mean, I've never seen a double rainbow next to a tornado, next to this, next to that. All right, I'm not finding it. Huh. Arch rainbow panorama. Rainbow tornadoes. Yeah, neat input. I know you live in Japan, so I assume you're much better studied up on that. I don't know if you noticed a lot of changes, because, you know, for a lot of us, Japan has really moved. It's a lot bigger. There's a whole bunch more islands. There's a whole bunch more everything. Japan has changed a lot, at least from the geographic standpoint. They are making us ready for rainbow tornadoes. Shari D, I would not be surprised at this point at all. I would not be surprised. Right, the rainbow usually comes out after the storm. Right. Just more and more crazy images all the time. All right, so anyway, not yet seeing the rainbow tornado. Okay, we covered the fissure vents and the Bladder curtains. Okay. This one's kind of gross, but all right. So what's going on with this leg? This person is having a muscle spasm. And I've seen a lot of these images in the last 3-4 months. People have muscle spasms, and you can see it now. You can see the muscle going crazy. Now, I feel like this woman should be screaming and dying if her muscle was doing this. I've also seen a fair number of images where you could really see the baby on a pregnant woman like punching the crap out of her stomach from the inside, and that's also new for me. But this one is even more creepy. I mean, in my old timeline, you could feel a baby pushing, but you couldn't actually see their little punch outs from the inside. But this one is not a baby. This is a leg here, and it's a muscle spasm. And it's definitely creepy. Japanese betta fighting fish now are called Siamese fighting fish. In my old timeline, it was both. I used to have those, and they would sometimes call it one, and sometimes call it another. So for me, that's not one, but who knows? I have been having that here and there, but not like that, just twitching. Yeah, in my old timeline, that's what it would do. You would get a little twitch. You might just see a little thing. But this guy's having one, and it's really gross. So, and this goes on for a long time. This video is like, how long is it? It's like a minute long. This guy's leg is going crazy. Look at that. I mean, it just seems to me like he should be screaming and dying. There's like an alien inside his calf muscle. There it is again. Can you believe that business? Look at that. Look at that. Oh my God. Just no way, dudes. Just no way. Can you imagine your leg doing that? It just seems like it should be. I mean, I've had calf cramps. I've seen other people have cramps. You could definitely see people rolling on the ground in pain, but you would not see their calf doing that. Anyway, I've been seeing a ton of those videos. We don't need to go on. Stop. That has to be one heck of a Charlie horse. Yeah, see, that's the thing. If it's a Charlie horse, you just can't sit there. You'd be like, ah. And then you got to straighten out your leg real fast or you're going to die. You wouldn't be sitting there videoing all calmly. I mean, I have the sound off, but he wasn't writhing and he wasn't screaming in horror or anything. So, okay, let me see what else I've... Oh, yeah, Shiva. Let's talk about Shiva at CERN. Yeah, there are some new things in Shiva. Good old Shiva. Shiva's changing every 5 seconds, I swear. See if I can find a good image. That's not very clear. Oh, here's one from the back. I'm going to look at this one really quick. Oh, look. Okay. Okay. All right. What's that? Okay. I didn't look at the back one yet, so I'm just noticing this in real time. What's new about this one from the back? First of all, this strap coming down on the body is new for me. I am positive that was not there. Well, I think I was just looking at this last week. That's new. You'll also notice there's like 4 or 5 bracelets on the wrists now. That's new. I've been watching these develop here, these spikes along the arms. It's not clear what those are going to be yet, but they might be a tad bigger. They don't look too different, though. Another thing, this thing is sticking out the back. What is this thing sticking out the back? I mean, there used to be a headdress here, but now it looks like there's a metal knob thing coming out the back. So that's new. It looks like this whole clothing region is a little bit more developed now as well. That's from the back. Let's see what. I'm hoping this is the image that gets really big. Okay, no, it doesn't, but. So yeah, that was the main thing. And then here on the front, that strap thing comes around on the stomach now. The stomach used to be just a stomach. Now there's like some kind of clothing strap thing here. So those are the main two things I wanted to mention were these bracelets and here. I covered in my video about this skull thing up here. It's looking more and more like a skull, and it's getting clearer now. Some of the images I was looking at, you can really see that it is. Let's see if this one will get any bigger. That helps a little bit. The only other thing I noticed on some close-up images was that this little, I call it the baby bonnet on this little demon down here. It's turning red. Looks like it was actually painted red now. And it is not just like this orange color of whatever the material is of this statue. It looks like these, somebody brought up a couple, like 1 or 2 live streams ago about these purple spots. They don't remember the purple spots. I also didn't remember the purple spots, but I thought maybe I had not looked at the right images. But I think these purple spots are really getting more and more prominent now than they were. Some of these pictures, it looks ridiculously spotted. Let's see, I'm going to go back to my, I think I have it saved here. You could see some of the up and coming stuff here. All right, there. I thought I had one I could expand. But anyway, yeah, his little baby bonnet is getting more red now in this area up here. So a few more changes on the CERN one. Last time I discussed the cobras coming out and this little skull thing, which I could not find when I was looking up in the literature what that was supposed to be. But I'm pretty sure it's turning into some kind of skull. And also this little demon's got a little pet snake cobra now also. And you can see she's got a, he has got a little flame in his hand. That was a couple shifts ago. And these flames here are curving around, and there's a big flame at the top now. There didn't used to be a big flame. I still don't see what these inner little designs are. They look like little blobs. But I'm thinking maybe these things will turn into something, these little dots around in here too. But it's not there yet. Yeah, look at those purple spots. I think they're those purple. Whoever picked up on that last time, good job. It looks like they're getting more and more prominent. You can't make this stuff up. You really can't. See, I thought these were clickable so I could make them bigger. That's why I saved them. Huh. Anyway, now I can't. Oh, I don't know. Okay, so there's the Shiva one. She's lost his arms. Yeah, it used to be 6, but that was some ways back. Lack of magnesium can cause involuntary muscle twitches. Yeah, I've been on magnesium for a lot of years now. I used to get nasty calf cramps at night. I always wondered why they happen at night. I mean, you would think that they would happen while you were walking around and using your calf. But anyways, I went on magnesium for something else, and that got rid of them. So I've gotten lazy and stopped taking them a couple times, and the cramps would come back. So I just take it now. And then Mandela Effects suggested it, but I've been on it for a long time anyway, so I just keep taking them for now anyway. You know, with all the anatomy changes, I just don't know if I still need them, but I'm not taking any chances. Calf cramps really suck. So I've been wanting to get magnesium test too for restless legs. You know, Autumn, just try it. I got magnesium. What was it for? Oh, my teeth were getting a little translucent around the edges many years ago, and they said, oh, it's the enamel is being eaten off by drinking acidic drinks or something, and you can't do anything about it. But I decided I was going to try to take magnesium and calcium for it, and it did reverse it. My teeth got white again on the edges, so that's why I originally took it. But then when I took it, I noticed my calf cramps went away. So that's the main reason I take it, to be honest, at this point. There had been some evidence to suggest that every shift created a magnesium deficiency, and I'm following up on studying that. Yeah, I heard Mandela Effects said that he thought that that was the case and that he felt better now that he consumes magnesium. I don't know if I would call it, scientific evidence, but current reality storyline for some time has seemed to indicate that a lot of people are magnesium deficient. And if you look at the RDA for magnesium and then you look at the food you eat, I think 95% of the people are not going to be getting enough magnesium according to the RDA. And I know it helped me a lot, so I'm a big fan of magnesium personally. And it's one of those things that it won't hurt you to take extra of. So, but I still feel crappy during shifts, so. There's all kinds of different variations of this statue or what. Yes, it's true. That's why we always look at the one specific statue, Shiva at CERN, because that is not there's only one statue supposedly. Lots of variations on that statue as we see, but it is supposed to be the same statue. Magnesium salt bath. Yeah, you could try it. I don't know. I don't know of any data of how much you soak up when you do baths, but a lot of people say they like it. So I just take the pills. When I was researching last, which is maybe 2 years ago, they said do not take magnesium oxide. It is only about 3% digestible. So take one of the better quality ones like malate or basically anything that is not the oxide version. But yeah, Autumn, beyond that, I'm not a nutrition expert. I don't take any of the other ones. I just take magnesium. Armanda, if I remember correctly, she started off as 6 arms. Yes, she had 6 arms out to the side. Now she's got 4 and 1 crosses over. And she's a he now. And she's kind of coming out of the ring now. It used to be flat. The good thing is you can't overdose magnesium. If you do, you will know it. It can give you the super trots, so you might have to be near the bathroom if you take too much. So that's the only thing I say is people starting up on magnesium, start slow until let your digestion get a chance to adapt. Because if you've heard of milk of magnesia, it's basically an anti-constipation medication. Magnesium tends to absorb water and cause your more water to be in the intestinal tract, and that can speed things up a little bit. So I usually just take one at first and see how your body responds to it is all. I haven't had a huge problem, but it does speed things up a little bit. Autumn, yeah, Shiva turned into a dude now. Shiva used to be a female for a lot of us. Although it's a very girly looking dude, but you'll notice the sexy boobs are gone. Shiva used to be the sexy boob woman, and those are gone. Okay, let's see. What else did I have on the docket here? Oh, yeah. Okay. Somebody brought up that this interesting, right after a shift, then a bunch of people have a bunch of weird things to say. I mean, some of them are weird from my perspective because they're from different timelines. And one of the ones that we got on Retcon recently was somebody flipped out because they're like, oh my God, Coca Cola has a dash. And for me, it had the dash, always had a dash for me. It had a dash in the middle, and then it went up here, and it got really short, and then it went up here. Let me get this one, view image. Ugh, tiny image. This is why I like to have all my windows out in advance, so I have all the big photos all picked out. But unfortunately, my computer is just not going to tolerate that kind of thing. All right, there's no big logos of Coca Cola, apparently. Oh, that's a different one. All right, let me try this one. Oh, that one looks big. There we go. Okay. There's been a lot of changes, but the one that I noticed just recently is this C. It hardly looks like a C now. It's squished in. Right here, this part right here. This used to be more like a C, and now it doesn't even look like a letter. It just looks like a ribbon. So that's the real latest change for the Coca-Cola to me. Now, the person on Retcon did not remember this dash, so they were all flipping out. The older changes are this curly Q through the loop here, and the Coca being on a higher level than the Cola, and the dash used to be here, and it came up here, and it's like a little square thing now. So those are some of the changes. But for me, the recent one is the C. The C looks weird to me. For me, the dash was gone. Really? See that? I've been watching this ME for almost 2 years, and there was no ME where the dash was gone for me. Not for me. And you're not the only one who said that, though. Because when that guy posted that, I'm like, nah, that's not the ME. You're confused. But a fair number of people remembered that ME. That the dash was gone, and that was never on my ME timeline. There used to be a dash, then it was gone, and now it's back again. Yeah, that's what other people were saying. For me, it's just the C. The C is weird. The dash being too high and up here has been there a while. I mean, it's still an ME, but there was no time when the dash was gone. It had just moved up. Yeah, see? Different timelines again. Yeah. You know what I hate is when I'm the only one who it changes for and everybody else is suddenly saying the opposite. I hate that. Because I don't know. It's like shifting is bad enough, but when you shift by yourself and you're the only one who sees MEs, I hate that. Let's see. Okay, snow crab claws. This one just kind of shows how you can see an ME anywhere. This is kind of a personal ME, really. Whoops, images. All right, so I eat out at this Chinese restaurant a lot. Like about once a week we eat there. And one thing that they have there that I love is snow crab. They have these claws and, legs, and they have it always at dinner. God, I love those things. So about once a week, I get a plate full of snow crabs. And this is pretty much what they look like. I actually have one here, but with my light on and my crappy camera, I doubt you could really see much of anything. But if you take a snow crab claw and you soak it in hydrogen peroxide a bit, it gets rid of all the stink. And now it has no nasty odor. But it does kind of bleach them out a little bit. I was hoping to kind of show you, but I don't think you can see a darn thing. So that's why I'm pulling up the picture here. Okay, so here we have a snow crab claw. Now, I've been eating these for a couple years. I never really get totally tired of snow crab claws. And about a year ago, a few of them started to show up with a little white around the edge of the pinchers. And then more of them showed up with a little white around the edge of the pinchers. And now all of them have the white around the edge of the pinchers. And the pinchers got longer. There's like an added part here. It used to end like about here. And now they go further. So that's just my little personal Mandela effect. But, you know, anytime you're dealing with animal parts, if you deal with them on a regular basis, just watch because they all change. I mean, almost every animal part I deal with, I've seen it change. It gets longer, it gets a different shape. Something happens. If it's a bone, it's a tooth. I mean, there's so many changes. I could talk for like 5 hours on just little animal part changes for things that I deal with regularly. But anyway, the snow crab claws, you can be eating dinner and you can see an ME because of this. Anything you see often, you can watch it change. And at first you might just see one and oh, that's a weird coloration. If you see one with a weird coloration, just watch, just mark that in your mind and then watch for more of them because at first it was just a few. It's all of them now, every one of them. The other thing I'm seeing now is, you know, all the crab legs used to be the same color, but now some are really light and some are really dark. And the other day I got one leg that was like an albino leg, and the weird thing was that when I opened it, the meat in there was all white too, because usually when you have the meat, it's like an orange color. So they're I mean, you know, it's funny because I ask people I'm eating with, and I'll be like, do you remember this? And they're like, oh, they're probably just fishing from a different region. Yeah, I don't think so. Snow crab is snow crab. And you can see on these images, every last snow crab is the same looking. They all look like that. They all have the white on the edges, every one of them. So anyway, that's my personal ME for tonight. Flip-flops mess up a lot of my research. Psst. I don't know how you can research anything with the flip-flops. I don't know. The ME, you can't write anything on a piece of paper, it changes. You can't take a video of anything, it changes. I mean, you just have to memorize it in your head. And there's so much. You know, I'm just trying to remember as much as I can. And then there's so much. That's why, I mean, you don't know what you need to memorize, so you have to memorize like everything. Makes me crazy. Then when you switch, and if nobody else remembers, you're like, God, am I going crazy? That's why, you know, when Unimundi came out with that video on Statue of Liberty, I was glad to see it because, you know, last night I'm like, am I crazy? I don't remember this. I don't remember that. And I'm like, that's it. I'm going to talk about it tomorrow. But then when he came out with that video, I'm like, yes, I'm not crazy. Because the ones he mentioned were actually the ones I was less sure of, like her being fat. I'm like, you know, I wasn't sure on that. I wasn't sure as I was the other ones. I think it's harder to say. You know, I can say I know that she was standing still, but thickness is kind of subjective. So I'm banking on tidy cats. Oh, as the flip-flop, tidy cats. Yeah, tidy cat for me. Where is it now? I think that one changed a couple times. Tidy cat. It was tidy cat. Tidy cat. Originally it was tidy cat. So we're at tidy cats now, right? I think that one's changed a couple times. Yeah, we're back at cats. I think that one's changed a bunch of times. Tidy cat, tidy cats. Yeah, I think there's like been 3 changes for me on those. That one is a big flipper flopper for me, and also Fruit Loops. Dang it, I can't. To me, it's kind of important having a community around ME. Can you imagine being by yourself? I think people would just think they were insane. I mean, it would have been, I don't know how I would have probably had to assume I was crazy. Nobody else remembers any of it. Do you remember Foyd? Really? Did spell check make you write that? Now, one time I was trying to text my friend and my spell check changed a street name. It didn't like my street name because it wasn't a word it recognized. It changed it to Penis. And luckily, it was just my friend, so it wasn't a big deal, and she would have laughed really hard, but I caught it. But every time I would type that street name, it would change it for like 3-4 times until it finally learned. I'm like, can you imagine? Who put that in a spell check with that word in there? What if I was typing it to my boss or something? And you know how spell check is, you're typing along and it changes something half a sentence ahead, so you don't always catch it. The claws look longer. Yes, they are longer. And what's interesting about this is they always have the same kind of snow crab. Always. They've never had a different crab, so I know it's not some other kind of crab or something. Bragg's liquid. Yeah, you're waiting for Bragg's come back. Bragg's liquid aminos. Yes, that's a big one for me. Bragg's liquid aminos is how it was. I used to consume that all the time until I saw a bunch of research suggesting it's just ordinary friggin' soy sauce. Then I stopped. I'm paying. That's I thought it was like liquid aminos is another word for soy sauce, and all the evidence suggests it's just soy sauce. I used to be like, wow, this stuff's really healthy and it tastes just like soy sauce. Just like soy sauce. It's probably soy sauce, although who knows what anything is in this reality, but you're waiting for the B to go back in Berenstain. For me, it was Bernstein. Bernstein was my original. And somewhere it changed to Baron and then Berenstein or whatever the heck it is now. But it was Bernstein Bears for me. And maybe that was a really old ME because I don't have kids. So, it could have changed a long time ago. But when I was a kid, it was Bernstein Bears. That's why when I first came to the ME and I'm like, Berenstain? I was just confused by the whole thing. All right, let's see. What have I not covered? I know I have at least one more. I feel like I'm extra sleepy today. I'm like sagging down. Okay. Shiva, lava, Coca Cola, snow crabs. All right, one left. Da-da-da. Human stomach. I actually probably should check more of the organs, but I just happened to see some stomach images. And it's looking different. There's one thing I noticed in a lot of these images is the connector point used to be up here at the top of the stomach where it went up your throat. And now it's down about a third of the way down. It looks weird because, this system, it looks like if the stomach gets full up, it's gonna push it back up through here. It looks like a dumb system to me. I can only hope that it's going somewhere intelligent with this plan, or the flap here better get stronger or something, because I don't see any point in this being down low like this. The other thing I'm seeing is on a lot of images, there's this kind of an up-pinched area here before it goes down. So the food has to come kind of up against gravity and then go back down. Here you're seeing like this one. See how it's all pinched here and then it's wide. The images just show kind of a straight attachment there. So there's kind of something going on here with this one. See here, there's this big bulge and then it goes. So, and this one's interesting because there's a really big bulge here. Look at how low this esophagus is. If you look at this, it's like if you fill up your stomach, then you're going to have food squishing out here, up that way. And you, like, if there's a bunch of food here, I guess the stomach just has to be really strong in order to push it this way. I mean, why have all this? Even this arrows doesn't make sense, so I don't know. I mean, I could only assume that there's going to be a reason for it later, but that's not even in English. But yeah, something's going on with the stomach. I'm not sure what exactly. Oh. Look at what's this? Huh. Mucosa. Anyway, so yeah, I'm not sure what exactly, but there's definitely changes in the stomach region. There, this is kind of a classic one now. It attaches way down here. I mean, originally it was just a straight sac straight down. Then it kind of turned into this bean shape and flopped sideways. But originally, you know, a year ago, it's still attached at the top. So now it's over here on the side. It looks like a kidney bean now in a lot of the images. Look at that, kidney bean shaped stomach. So, it doesn't look logical to me. Okay, now I'm really curious where it's going with all that. A lot of the changes look smart, but that one doesn't. So, I don't know. Anyway, so I think that's most of it. Let's catch up with the chat here. My husband hates to go shopping with me. Everything that I see on shelves is an ME. Yeah, I just, I just keep my mouth shut when I'm with other people, but there's times when I just don't want to watch TV, and there's times when I don't want to look at certain internet things because I know there's going to be a million MEs. And sometimes I'm in the mood for it, and sometimes I just not. I just don't want to. Like, sometimes I'll only go to Reddit sites where there's not a lot of MEs. Like a slapstick comedy Reddit or something. There's usually not a lot of MEs on there, but sometimes if I get too many MEs at once, especially if nobody else sees them, I hate that. I just found a bunch of videos on statues changing their poses caught on camera, including Lady Liberty. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, all the videos I've seen caught on camera look like they've been faked to me. And the pattern with the ME is that it's retroactive. So if it changes now, then every old photo changes, every old movie changes, every old video changes. Sometimes a little bit of art and some secondary material will escape, but there has been no legitimate instances that I can tell that haven't been discovered to be Photoshop or CGI or faked, where we ever were able to catch much of anything on video. The ME is very thorough. So I'm not saying it can't happen and we should always look, but I would definitely scrutinize it carefully. The one thing I don't want to do is just think I know the answers and not look. Because I don't want, it's not real because it doesn't fit the pattern. I don't want to get like that. But at the same time, if something doesn't fit the pattern, check it out carefully. There's a lot of people making videos just to get attention, just because they'll get views. Maybe they're dependent on the income source, whatever. So, I mean, I like attention and views as much as anybody, but I don't want to lie to get it. And some people are happy to do that, or they think it's funny or whatever. What's up with the appendix? The only reason for the appendix, from what I remember, is that it could digest grass. Now, I've never heard of the appendix digesting grass. It was, what was that? Back in the day, the appendix was just considered vestigial and useless. And then, 5 or 6 years ago, they started saying, maybe it's a storage for gut bacteria. And the whole gut bacteria thing has really taken off in the last 5-6 years. That's like the new storyline of this reality is everything's gut bacteria. Let's take a look at the appendix. I've said this before, but to me, the appendix is getting bigger. I'm assuming that one's supposed to be inflamed, but they never used to show it on any images. This area here has changed a lot too, but it's just getting a little bigger, and every month that passes, different images will show it larger. So I think the appendix is something. Almost everything seems to run backwards from what they say. If they say something's vestigial, then it's new. If they say something's endangered, then it's gonna and they're gonna die soon. They're probably gonna get more. If they say something's disappearing, it's probably appearing. So it just seems like this world is opposite land in a lot of ways. Because supposedly in caveman era we needed to digest grass because they ate a lot of grass, but who knows? Yeah, that wasn't a storyline in my old timeline, but who knows? I mean, it's clear that people are coming from different memories on this. I got my gallbladder removed, so I hope that doesn't change to something I need. Who knows? Maybe you'll find out gallbladders grow back or something. Who knows? Who knows? You just can't. The ME gets things covered. It's sneaky that way. And this whole thing lately of getting the gallbladder removed, it's been quite a trend. When I was a kid, everybody was getting their appendix and their tonsils out, and then all of a sudden nobody's getting it out. And lately it's been the last 10 years, everybody's getting their gallbladder out. I don't remember anybody getting their gallbladder out when I was a kid. You never heard about that. Now everybody's getting it out. So, I don't know. The appendix was supposed to hold all the poisons that get to your body and old viruses. That is why it was so dangerous if it burst and became fatal because of the poison release. Really? I never heard that one either. That's weird. In my timeline, it was just useless, vestigial, and if it got infected, it would burst, but it would just release, intestinal, materials into the body and infection, and that's why it was so dangerous. And also because it would inflate quite a bit, so when it burst, there was a lot of infection released. Yeah, see, everybody and their uncle and their sister and their cousin got their gallbladders out lately. I mean, one of my friends has his out. The other one that's really weird now is the diabetes. It used to be just old people or middle-aged to older people, and they would just get type 2 diabetes, and it used to be they would control it by drugs, and then rarely some people would get type 1, and that's the kind that they had to get insulin. And that was a different kind of diabetes. That was when there was an autoimmune attack on your pancreas and you needed the insulin, but it wasn't because you were like overweight or anything like that. It wasn't metabolic syndrome. But now the two have really merged. Like somebody I know was on metformin and they said it wasn't doing a good job. And then they just jumped him straight to insulin now. They say he needs insulin. It used to be you'd go on a bunch of other drugs. They wouldn't just jump you to insulin. And the Mandela Effects suddenly has to take insulin. It's like everybody and their uncle has to take insulin now. Well, that's a trip because, I mean, you could write it off to worsened health, but the latest storylines have been that obesity has stayed leveled off and health problems have leveled off, and so I don't know. I just don't think it accounts for the increased tons of insulin that so many people are getting. Yep, that changes in diabetes got me too. Yeah, I mean, there's so many. They're calling it. At last I heard it was type 3, where they suddenly they need insulin. It's too much. I mean, it was unheard of for type 2s to need insulin. I never even heard of that. 10 years ago, you never heard of it. Even though there was a lot of people with diabetes, nobody was on insulin if they were type 2. It's only type 1s that took insulin. I remember it as a common thing to have the appendix taken out. Yeah, yeah, they used to say that if it got infected or something. I can't remember the whole storyline, but they would just say, oh, just might as well just take it out so it doesn't get infected. As I remember it, the appendix was for cavemen to digest raw meat. Huh, how does it help them digest raw meat, though? Yeah, it wasn't my timeline, but heck, who the heck knows? I don't know. Some of even the storylines from my timeline don't make sense. So I'm not attacking yours, but every time I hear a different storyline, I'm curious about what the story was for them. Some of those I just accepted. I mean, there are stories that I heard from science that I accepted. Now I look back, I'm like, didn't make any sense anyways. Like that teeth one. I do not get why would our mouths shrink but then our number of teeth not? And this would be some kind of evolution thing. I mean, where would be the advantage of having your mouth shrink but not your teeth? That makes no sense. There's no advantage to everybody having infected mouths. So why didn't our mouth just stay big? Not only do we have to check the facts after shifts, we also have to go for a checkup. Yeah, I don't know. I've always had kind of a suspicion about doctors. I mean, the few times I've gotten sick, doctors have been useless, diagnosed it wrong. I mean, if I get a cut, if I get a broken bone, that is the only time. Well, I've never had a broken bone, but if I get something cut, they're good at stitches. But, people I've known who've gotten sick, sinus infections, intestinal problems, the doctors have never been able to help them. Never. So I try to do everything I can with diet and exercise and acupuncture, anything I can do myself. That has been the only thing that's really been effective for most of my problems. I don't rely on doctors because they've just, my friends got all these sinus infections all the time and stuff. They give her antibiotics all the time. And I asked her, I'm like, do you feel better today? You've been on the antibiotics? And she's just kind of, she can't tell me that they're helping her. And she's not sure. It's like, we have to check if all the organs are still there. Yeah, it doesn't seem like any are going away, but there's definitely some new ones. In the old timeline, there was one thing I remember was that there was a lot of space between the organs. And, you could get shot in the abdomen and not hit any organs at all. It could go right through you because if you were lucky, it would go through the space between the organs. And as a kid, I used to wonder why the abdomen was that big if there was nothing really in half the space. I was like, well, how come we're not just skinnier in the middle then? And that now is one of the things that makes me wonder if this whole thing was always planned, that eventually that space would get filled. Because now it is. Organs are a lot bigger and they're jammed in there. And there is no space between the organs now. Might want to keep an eye on that. I've noticed things I talk about come true. What are we keeping an eye on, though? My mother and I argued about it. She verified that they were never diabetic. So somebody got healthier and was never sick. Yeah, that happened to a friend of mine. In my timeline, about 5 or 6 years ago, he got really sick and almost died. And basically what happened was they determined that his gallbladder had gotten infected, and being a stubborn dude that he is, he didn't go to the hospital, and he just went and took a nap, and it got worse and worse until his whole side swelled up, and he became delirious. And he called a friend, and the friend rushed over there and saw how bad he was, and she called 911, and he was rushed to the hospital, and he was in really bad shape because the infection was all over his abdomen. And they operated, and he had a heart attack and almost died again. And it was really touch and go, and then he recovered, and they took out the gallbladder. And I used to kind of tease him for years. Don't wait too long if you're sick. Remember, the gallbladder thing. And he always took it in stride, but I would just be like, he never really learned, because his tooth would get infected, and I'd see him and his face would be swollen up, and I'd be like, did you talk to the doctor yet? Nah, I'm going to do it later. I'm like, well, don't forget about that gallbladder thing. Call right now. And then one day, about 8 months ago, he said, oh, what gallbladder thing? I'm like, that time you almost died. And he's like, oh, I didn't almost die. So the new storyline now is that he felt a little under the weather. So he drove to the hospital himself, and they determined it was his gallbladder, and they removed it. And he did have an incident with his heart during the surgery, and he blames it that they gave him too much anesthesia. But that he was, other than that, they caught it in plenty of time, and he was never near death, and he was never delirious, and he never had his whole side swell up. And one thing that was interesting is in my timeline, after he almost died, he started an exercise program and started going to the gym. And he hates the gym, but he would go to the gym twice a week, and he got much more fit and healthy, because I think he just didn't want to be sick. That scared him, kind of scared him straight. He wanted to be healthier. And right before the storyline changed, he had stopped going to the gym, and we were kind of needling him to go. And then right then is when he told me how he never almost died. And it was like he didn't almost die, so now his motivation to the gym also disappeared. So that whole story was weird, but it kind of reminded me of what that comment about how someone's health totally changed. So in his mind, he didn't almost die, and there wasn't that fear of almost dying, and so he didn't. I guess the motivation to go to the gym was gone. And I talked to his friend who had called the ambulance to see what her story was, and then she was strangely vague on all of it, because this is a close friend of his. And she remembers rushing over there, and she can't remember exactly how he got to the hospital, and then she was fuzzed out. I mean, like, her brain was fuzzed out. She couldn't remember any details. So that was weird. She looked a little upset that she couldn't remember either. I mean, it's something that you would expect someone to remember. If you see somebody almost dead and you have to call an ambulance, and they're your best friend, I mean, you wouldn't normally forget that. So that whole thing is weird. Anyway, so the storyline with that guy, he's the one I knew a long time ago that knew Arctica, and now he doesn't. But those changes even happened before the didn't almost die anymore story. I had a flip-flop on my height. I got 2 centimeters shorter, and a couple months later I was 5 centimeters taller. Shari, I'm kind of jealous. I checked a number of times, and I've been 5'3" every time. I want another couple inches. Although I think my face is a little better shape than it used to be, so I can't whine too much. But if I get 2 inches taller, then that means I'll be skinnier too. So that'd be cool. And you could eat more. Although in this timeline, I don't think you can eat more. But anyway, I'm kind of short. It's hard to get at the upper cabinets too. It'd be nice. It'd be nice to have a couple more inches. The side effects listed on my antibiotics listed hallucinations and to report it if you had them. But I live alone, so how would I know? Slip E. Feister. I don't know. If you see pink, well, you can still, if you see pink elephants, you're just watching TV. Pink elephants are not a hallucination anymore. So yeah, it's tricky. I guess if you see something that you know can't be there. You know, if I take antibiotics, if they're the oral kind, I'm fine the first day, and the second day I'm violently ill. I don't know if that's still the case, but I'm afraid to take them because the antibiotics make me way, way sicker than whatever thing they're supposed to be treating. So I would just rather go with my immune system. Oral antibiotics scare me. The last time I took them, I swore I would never ever take them again. And that was a while ago, but all right, anyways, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, so that's 2 hours, and I have covered everything I wanted to cover. They did the measurement in doctor's office, so it must be right. Yeah. Didn't it, Shari D, did they notice that your height had changed, or was the old height now changed also? I mean, because they have to, if it's written that all those different heights are different, I mean, wouldn't they be like, what the heck, who's the moron that can't measure? Or was the old height suddenly changed to the new height? Autumn Nicole's 5 a.m. here. Thanks for keeping me up. Yeah, I know. I thought about trying to get an earlier slot, but I like to do it when everybody's out of the house, and at midnight everybody is always gone. So Shari, they didn't say anything, but it was strange for me. Shari, if you get it done again, maybe you should just ask the doc, are you sure that's right? I thought you wrote something different last time, and just see if you can get him to check, just out of curiosity. I mean, if you don't think that they're, if you think you can get away with it without them thinking you're totally crazy. I find that it just pays to act dumb when I ask questions, and then people just feel sorry for me, and they're going to help me out by telling me what they remember. Has anyone observed an effect happening in real time? It seems like it only happens when the thing isn't being observed. BTFO. I have had times where I was looking at a window, and I notice this the most when I'm researching for videos or posts or something. I'll have stuff up. I'll have a window open, maybe like something like this I'll have up. I'll see an image there that I like, and or maybe I'll click on one and I'll have it in a window, and then it'll be gone. That I'll look away, I'll look back, it'll be gone, or maybe it'll be half a day and it'll be gone. But just that window is gone. So we've also, but I'm never looking right at it when it happens. So, but I mean, there's definitely been things that I've been keeping a sharp eye on, and they will change minute by minute, hour by hour. But I've never seen it actually move right when I was looking at it, right that second. The closest to me is the famous Hillary flip-flop. For a while, Hillary Clinton was spelled with one L for many people. And that was before I knew of the ME. And I remember seeing it spelled with one L on Facebook, and I'm like, well, who's the idiot who can't spell Hillary Clinton's name? And then I saw it spelled with one L somewhere else. And I was like, the hell? Two people are stupid? So I looked it up, and it was one L. And I looked on her webpage. I looked on the wiki. But one thing I noticed, and there was a lot going on then, because there was a lot of MEs flying around, and I didn't know about the ME. So I thought I was kind of just like something was wrong with my brain. And I looked at Hillary, and it was like I had to squint so hard to tell how it was spelled. It was like my brain couldn't concentrate enough to tell how many L's were on there. It was like there was a fuzz on my brain for the L's. And I remember just going, what am I can't read now. I can't see the L's. And I was like squinting at them. And I had to like concentrate. And so I think now that was some kind of fuzzing on the brain where the Mandela doesn't want you to see it or something. There was something weird about that. It just wasn't normal. And at that time it scared me. I'm like, now I can't read, I can't see, I can't process. So then it went back to two L's, and now I can read it just fine. So I don't know, something weird. There's something weird going on with that. But yeah, that's the closest I've seen to one in progress. Sorry, they checked it twice because I told them it couldn't be right. Huh. Yeah, I'm just wondering if they what they have in their old records. I bet that the old records would be the same, but I guess it could be different and they could just chalk it up to mistakes in the writing or something. But I'm always curious when other people are involved how the Emmy is going to handle it. I mean, are they truly a different timeline, a different memory? Did their writing change? That actually is familiar, that fuzziness you're talking about. I thought it was aspartame I was drinking. Um, I just noticed that for some people, and in that case it was even me, when there's some important ME thing you're trying to nail down with people have different memories, some of the people you talk to will strangely not be able to remember anything. And sometimes it'll be something they really should know, or it's their field of expertise. They know everything else under the sun, but when it comes to the ME, suddenly they can't remember. So there seems like there's some kind of fuzzing going on. I call it memory fuzzing. It's not ordinary forgetting. It just seems like it's targeted. Slip E. Feister, nice to meet you. Last time we spoke, he didn't remember the holes in the skull in med school. Oh, interesting. Yeah, see if he knows about him now. Don't let him operate on you, whatever you do. You may not know where anything is anymore. It's the ones who don't see who are affected. Yeah, just terminology, whatever you want to call it. I really don't know what's going on. I don't. But it does seem like some people get the downloads and they change their stories. And that's one reason I think that it might be us that's remembering correctly is people have our story and then suddenly they remember a different story. Whereas our stories for us don't change. I don't remember one way and then suddenly go, oh, wait, no, I was wrong. I meant that other thing. And they do, the unaffected. I wouldn't call them totally unaffected, but it's like they get the downloads or something. You know? Yeah, I know there never was a Santa Claus, and now there's like 3 of them, and there's a devil mask. I'm not sure I know what you mean. As far as I know, there was a Santa Claus, and there still is one, but now I guess he lives in Canada and not in the North Pole anymore. Yeah, Stephen Hawking died on Pi Day. There's a lot of ironies in this timeline. People's names match what they do, like Anthony Weiner. There's a lot of just weirdness like that. There's a creepy Santa Claus on the closet door. Never was there for me. I watched it a million times. Must be talking about some movie. Oh, I'm not sure what movie that is. All right, anyway, it's getting really late, so I'm going to cut on out. And thank you, everybody, for coming. I really appreciate it. And it always amazes me that people come here in the middle of the night to listen, so I appreciate that. Of course, for some of you, it's the morning, but I still appreciate it. But it's time for my bed, so I'm going to cut out. And so this is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline. And that's such a good sounding ending, but then I have to run over here and click on this.